Well, we are excited to be here today to talk about this year's 2025 Westborough Good Scout honoree. My name is Betsy Moquin. I've been a member of the Westborough Good Scout Committee for more years than I wish to share with you, but I am super excited to be here with Jim Tepper, who has agreed to serve as this year's honoree. Welcome, Jim.
Thank you for having me, Betsy. Appreciate it.
It's a committee that I was asked to be on many years ago by Nelson Ball when he was honored, and I've served on the committee ever since. And I don't live in Westborough, and I don't have any children who were scouts here in Westborough, and yet it is still one of my favorite events of the year because it really is a feel-good evening where we are able to raise some much-needed funding for scouts by selecting an honoree to represent scouting and help us with some fundraising so that we can do some amazing things. So Jim has graciously agreed to sit in that role this year, and we do want to spend some time talking a little bit about Jim's background and why he was chosen as this year's honoree, but his focus is really on the event itself and hopefully getting some of you to join us on Wednesday, November 5th at the DoubleTree. So the selection committee, the committee who serves on the Good Scout Award, each year deliberates and tries to determine who is a good representative of scouting. And it does not necessarily have to be someone with a scouting background, but it needs to be somebody who embodies the spirit of what scouting is all about. This year, we were really lucky in that we found somebody who has both of those things. So not only have you lived your life in the manner of somebody who appreciates and embodies scouting, but scouting was an important part of your life and continues to be an important part of your life. So maybe you can share a little bit about that with us.
Sure. Well, I started in scouting very young. I lived in Florence, Mass. My mother volunteered as a den mother, assistant den mother, so I was in Cub Scouts and moved from Cub Scouts to Boy Scouts and went through the years in the ranks in Boy Scouts. Eventually we formed the first Explorer post in Florence in the early 60s. In fact, I still have my uniform with the post emblems on it in the closet. So
we might make you wear that.
Well, I'm wondering if that will make it around, but we'll see. But scouting was a very big part of my life at the time, and it taught me a lot of important lessons that I was able to draw on in a number of instances as I went through my career.
And when we think about your career, you actually at one point thought scouting might be part of your career path.
That's correct. I was quite impressed with the scout executives in the Hampshire Franklin Council, which embodied Western Mass in the Connecticut River Valley. I worked at the scout camp in the summers and was one of the scout leaders that took a group to Philmont Scout Ranch in New Mexico. Worked relatively closely as a young person could with the scout execs, and I was impressed. And so I went to Springfield College with the intention of coming out and being a scout executive.
And you ended up in Westborough from there. You had a little
I did. I made a
excitement in between.
I took a left turn when I left Springfield College and went into the Marine Corps. Spent a few years flying for the Marine Corps. And when I left the Marine Corps, I came back in Northampton for about 4 or 5 years, worked at UMass in Amherst, and then came to Westborough, 1976.
And your military affiliation might be how a lot of folks here in town know you, because you've been very involved in Veterans Affairs and you've been involved in the parade each year. You've been the Grand Marshal of the parade. Tell us a little bit about how that has impacted your life.
Well, it's just a way to participate and I think a tired phrase is give back, but be involved with folks and we're trying to bring veterans out. Sure. Get them to say, I can use this service, I need this help, identify them. I'm involved with the American Legion, the VFW, as well as the advisory board.
Yeah.
I was brought onto that 10 years ago by Paul Horgan. And we just try to coordinate and keep activities known to veterans. We've got a breakfast coming up Saturday morning. Put a plug in for that if there's a veteran that gets to see this by 2 days from now. It's a free breakfast for all veterans at the Senior Center. Come join us, please. But that's just one of the number of groups that I was in when I was here in town.
And, you know, that's exactly what we're looking for when we choose somebody to receive this award. It's somebody who has lived the life that we would want a scout to live. So those are a couple of examples of things that you've done. You've also, you and I first really became connected through the Rotary Club of Westborough and your work with Rotary Club. You served as treasurer of the Rotary Club. You've done a lot of volunteer work putting the lights up. You've maybe performed a little bit. I won't give away any secrets to, we don't know the age groups of the folks who are listening, but you've played a major role when Santa arrives on the common to celebrate Christmas.
I did.
We wouldn't have been able to do that without you. So talk to us a little bit about your Rotary background.
Rotary was a great part of my background. That's when I think first met you, and we bonded because we both went to the same school. We're both Springfield College grads. And Betsy has been extremely involved with Springfield activities, as has her daughter, who's a master's degree graduate from Springfield. But, you know, Rotary, like many of the other civic groups, plays an important role in trying to keep the organizations supporting and promoting the good life that Westborough has to offer. So I wasn't treasurer, but I was on the board.
You were on the board. You were on the finance committee.
I was on the finance committee. That's
you helped me
correct.
quite a bit in that role.
Make sure that the
record is
the treasurers don't stand up and say, "Hey, that's not the case." It's called full disclosure.
Yeah.
But I think that Rotary. I can't compare it to Lions. I can't compare it to Civic Club, although there are different things that each of these groups do. And it's a way to stay involved, to stay knowledgeable about what the needs are of the community and how they're being served. So.
And you have served on the Good Scout Committee in the past.
I did.
So tell us a little bit about how you felt when you got the call saying we wanted you to be this year's honoree.
They just wanted a pretty face to be put
and we
on.
got one, so perfect.
Far from it, far from it. I was very honored and humbled. The selection process, as I recall, is not an easy one. And certainly trying to get folks that are willing to be a little bit public about what they've done is also difficult. But the committee works hard. I have a little stronger feel that this event is and should be more about promoting scouting, getting people into scouting. Clearly, it's a fundraiser. Having someone, you know, receive an award, or some ones, because some years it's more than one, that's nice. That creates a little bit of a buzz at the event. But I think we need to promote more what scouting is and what it can do for the youth, how we can support it, how we make it more widespread. I know that it's gone through a host of scrutiny and change and political
evolving
so it's evolved now into Scouting USA as opposed to Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts and Sea Scouts and Explorer Scouts, all of those. Matter of fact, I went looking for an Explorer post. I was told they don't exist. They call them something else now, and I can't come up with the term. So, but the tenets of life that I learned in scouting and just kind of became part of the fabric, they served me very well. Whether it was when I was at college, when I went through, I'll call it basic training, officer training, when I went through flight school in Pensacola, when I was serving in the service, or coming back to the town, just trying to live my life with the kids and raise them. So a lot of people I think, taken a minute because I want to say the right way. A lot of people look at scouting and they say, "Oh no, that's not for me. I need to have something much more involved." It's a very basic tenet, and it needs to be infused in kids more than it was. My boys, 2 boys, were in scouting. They didn't go as far.
As you did,
Sports began to take over their lives.
Hockey.
Hockey, football.
Yeah.
It's a widespread. And sports in those years were beginning to take more and more time. You couldn't do 2 things or 3
They were traveling
things as easily.
Sure.
Like they did it, and there's still kids that do that.
Yeah.
And they're exceptional. But it did take some time.
Yeah. And, you touched on a really important point. The honoree is really the vehicle that helps us promote scouting in town, get what normally amounts to 150, 250 people in a room for a really inspirational evening. And, you're willing to lend your face to that effort so that we can raise some funds. There's still sponsorship opportunities available. To me, one of the nicest parts of the evening, and this might be because I work at a youth serving organization, but I always love hearing from the Eagle speaker that we have and the impact that scouting has had on them, because that's preparing them for their career, wherever that takes them, whether they leave Westborough, whether they reside in Westborough for the rest of their lives. Tell us about your Eagle project.
I can't recall fully, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I mean, I kind of went through the Eagle process and then went on to the Order of the Arrow, which was more doing the ordeal. But we were community service oriented.
Yeah.
It was different in 60, I think 1 or 2 when I got my Eagle. And as I said earlier, long before you were born, I'm sure.
Not too quite, but I appreciate that.
It was more. We had a range of activities, and it wasn't just one project. So we would put on some dinners for the church group.
Yeah.
We would do some cleaning. We did the post was formed. We were fortunate that Westover Air Force Base was close.
Right there,
so we got some surplus, both equipment, and we got a truck.
Yeah.
So we kind of became a mobile post. So we would do clean out projects and paper drives and things of that nature. And so somebody was kind of in charge of those things. So.
Do you think that had anything to do with the pilot in you? The time at Westover? Because I didn't know about that.
No, I don't think so.
No, okay. Just curious.
After I left Northampton for Springfield, the only time I went back to Westover was to go over and go through a day-long
training,
flight physical, flight physiology, aptitude when I was applying to this flying program, because Springfield was close by.
Yeah.
It's just across the river. But,
yeah.
Then I've flown back into Westover 100 times since, but that's in a different role.
Yeah. That could be a whole nother interview that we do here. That would be pretty interesting.
That would be fun. That would be fun. But I don't know that I can do enough to encourage folks to, both the committee and the community, to embrace scouting and tell the positive stories of scouting, what it's done for the youth.
Sure.
I fully agree with you that the comments made by the Eagle Scout that's brought back are very meaningful, where they've gone. It would be interesting to put the tracks together. How many Eagle Scouts came out of town, regardless of the troops they were in?
Sure.
Where did they go and what are they doing now?
Yeah.
Just put up a little chart.
Yeah.
Maybe we should do
that. That's a great idea.
We should do that for November.
We could make that happen, yeah.
I'm on too many committees, scholarship committees. I say, okay, have we tracked them? No, we're just busy thinking about who we're going to give 10 grand to next year. And I say, let's stop for a minute, take a deep breath. And it's work. It's a volunteer group. Who's going to take on the project? Who's going to fund it? All of those things come into the picture. But I think it's something the council and scouting would benefit from by just using those statistics. Doesn't have to be Westborough.
Yeah.
Nixon, Milford, or Northborough, or
well, Westborough has more than 200 scouts, and last year those scouts put in collectively more than 2,600 hours of volunteer service in town. So the impact is impressive, and the projects that they support, and certainly all they do for Scouting for Food when they collect all the food donations. That's just one of the many things that they do in town, not counting the Eagle projects and things. So
That's good.
It's a pretty inspirational group.
No, we had a very good showing from the Scouts at our Memorial Day parade. That was very heartwarming to see that. Got some great leaders. I mean, I'm involved. Mike Van Nest and Marshall Preston are not only involved with our veterans program, but they're involved with Scouting as well.
Sure.
So they wear two hats. And you get involved and stay involved with Scouting generally when your kids are there, and then you gravitate on to something else when the kids go off to school. A few do stay involved. A Jim Tajan type.
Sure, yeah. Former honoree, committee member.
By the way, he'll be at the dinner. He's been grilling me to find out what he can tell about me.
Oh.
I've sworn everybody to secrecy. So.
We might have some tricks up our sleeves to get some information.
You never know.
And, one of the beautiful things about the night, too, there's always a lot going on in the country, in the world, in the Commonwealth, and it really is a beautiful night that brings people together. So I'm sure there'll be some funny stories there, and I might have to continue with my covert Springfield College research to see what maybe I could find out there, because that is a special bond that the two of us share.
If you call Mary Ellen, she'll have to dig into the archives.
I'll dig in them with her. I'd be happy to roll up my sleeves and do that.
I'll bet. But that was good. I was in a fraternity at Springfield called Alpha Phi Omega, which is a service fraternity heavily populated by Scout kids.
Nice.
So,
it's
they don't have
moving its way.
Yeah, they don't have social fraternities there. They only have the service. And we did some projects there as well.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
So, what advice do you have to parents who are busy and trying to figure out how they can balance all the activities that their children want to be in? How would you kind of guide them to see if they could figure out a way to fit Scouting into that family life?
Watching my boys raise their families, I say too frequently, I'm glad I'm not tasked with repeating what I had to do in today's world.
Sure.
Got to be a huge challenge.
Well said.
Part of that's because I've got different roots. They aren't in today's picture, but I'm not sure what I would say. I think you've got to choose activities for the kids. You can't force them. If somebody doesn't like something, very difficult to have them participate. I think you've got to participate with them.
Sure.
You've got to be beside them. And it was interesting when I was also involved here earlier in time with the Westborough Amateur Hockey Association, and we put on some programs for the kids to learn to skate. Early on in the program, we were out doing fundraisers and organization to support getting ice time, and then little by little we started getting an influx of people in town that would say, "Look, I'm just going to drop my child off and I'll write you a check." And so they didn't want to participate in the activities or the fundraising,
a lot going on,
which would keep the rates down.
Yeah.
They'd much rather write the check. And that just began to change the shape of things. I think the same thing was happening in Scouting. I'll drop my kid off, you take care of him.
Yeah.
And we're struggled for enough leadership to be able to guide kids. So I think parents need to find out what Scouting is about.
Sure.
Maybe there's a way Scouting can provide, an impactful 3-minute clip, 5-minute clip, whatever it is, that somehow is sent to all parents or is available to be put in front of them, as opposed to, I don't know what Scouting's about, or I'm going to read the headlines of the problems that I think are pretty well now behind Scouting, but that's certainly that blip in the national news, if you will, created a problem with the discrimination.
Well, and you raise a valid point. This evening would be a great opportunity for somebody who, has young children, maybe who haven't reached the age of Scouting, but wants to learn a little bit more about it. Because even if your own children don't get involved, or your grandchildren, or your nieces, your nephews, Scouting still positively impacts everybody here in Westborough. directly or indirectly. They may not be aware of it, but again, those food collections, all of those 2,600 plus hours, that's just 1 year of Scouting's volunteer impact in town. So it would be great to get people who've never been to this event. One of the beautiful things about the event is it's a little bit of a mini reunion, if you will. You see a lot of the same faces every year, but it would be a great challenge to the community to get some people who've never been before to join us and leave with that great warm feeling that we've left with over the years.
I would agree. Are you sure you're not in marketing?
I'm marketing you. That's what I'm marketing, and Scouting, right?
That's what we need to market.
Yeah.
We need to market Scouting.
Yeah, it's a wonderful opportunity for young people, and and I'm sure you've already started to work on your remarks for the night, but Scouting has impacted every twist and turn in your life, and to the point that at one point you thought it was going to be your career, and it wasn't, but the tenets of Scouting helped you in your career.
They remain.
Yeah.
You learn leadership, and you learn participation, you learn group activity. You learn whether it's a small den of Cub Scouts or a troop in of the Boy Scouts. You go camping and you've got to plan what you're going to take. You've got to plan who's going to do what. Sure. You can't take everything in the world. You don't load the back of the station wagon and pull into a motel. You've got to be self-sufficient.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm not sure as much of that is done today as was done when I was a youngster, but it's things start popping back when I start thinking of the activities that we got involved with, and the summer camp was critical. That was absolutely critical. I learned an awful lot at summer camps.
I have a friend whose son unfortunately passed away when he was in his teens, but my friend, the dad, would always talk about he was so happy that his son lived to be able to experience Boy Scout camp, and he would tell stories about and of course things were a little bit more casual back then in the 70s, but trips that they would take through New Hampshire and Maine, and these road trips and of course no cell phone service, and parents weren't worried about, they just knew their children were safe and well cared for. But so important to this dad that he knew that his son was able to have those experiences.
You touch on something. The experiences that we enjoyed in my youth can't be paralleled today. Yeah. There are just too many social norms and constraints and restrictions, and many for the good,
of course,
I'm sure. Yeah. But we'd go off camping for a long weekend with 2 feet of snow sitting in the woods, and
nobody was worried. Everybody knew you were going to be fine.
We'd start off Friday and come back Sunday afternoon. Might be wet and cold, but we were fine. Yeah. It was just one of those things that we did. Yeah. That doesn't happen as much now. It has to be, much more. And the kids, the reports I'm hearing, are not as accepting of taking on responsibilities. Okay, we're going to pass it out. You'll start the fire, and you'll prepare the food, and you're going to clean the dishes, you're going to get the firewood, and you're going to put the tent up, and you're going to do this and that. It's more like, I don't do that. I'm going to do it a different way. You'll learn much more cooperation when you're young, which then, I'll just give you one comment. As I went through basics, officer training, I went through flight school. I mean, if you weren't doing those kinds of things, it was somewhat, new to some of the people that I was with. So it's much more difficult for them to go through a confidence course or to take on a project and plan and so forth. It was just, I'll just do it. I guess you must know. No, you got to do it, and then you lead somebody. And so those kinds of skills just popped out. Yeah.
Well, and those are skills, my role in my job is human resources, and certainly love it when we see an application for a lifeguard position. We hire a lot of teenagers. If they've been a scout, that that tells us something before they even come in and have the interview, right?
Absolutely.
Because we know that they've experienced some of these things and they've willingly participated eagerly in projects like that and trying to get out of their comfort zone, grow their skills.
Right. I can't agree with you better, more emphatically. We just need to get the word out. And I think that's, maybe back to your question, what the advice is for parents. They've got to investigate what the opportunities are for kids to get involved with things.
Absolutely.
There are many more. More sports, more social groups, more after-school activities, more clubs with science and language and all of the things that people can get involved with.
Sure.
But I think Scouts probably sits at the top,
At the top of the
pinnacle
list.
for me.
Yeah.
It does.
Wonderful. All
I'm
right.
looking forward to it.
So have you started to put your thoughts together for the speech?
Oh, yeah. They'll be very minimal. I'm not going to
Yeah. Okay.
keep people there.
Well, and we want to keep it a surprise anyway because we want people to come. So we'll make sure that at the end of the program it shares information so people can register, right? And if you can't register, we still need donors. Businesses can purchase a table. They can purchase an ad. As somebody who worked in the printing industry, that would be a great way to honor you, is to print an ad to represent your business if you're not able to be there in person and join us.
That would be nice, but
Yeah. Yep.
I want to get the word out.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the goal here, and you've helped us with that by joining us today, and by certainly agreeing to be Westborough's 2025 Good Scout. I can't, as a member of the committee, but certainly personally, I couldn't be more excited that we chose to honor you. You're a special person. I admire you. You're a friend. You're important to me, and I'm thrilled that we get to honor you that night.
Thank you, Betsy. I appreciate that.